HII everyone, here's a strange pairing to start with. A company that makes the corrugated steel sheeting on roofs across rural India and Africa, and also makes the mosquito coil that might be burning in a corner of your room tonight. Same company. Two businesses that have almost nothing in common, sitting inside one listed entity. Its profit has more than doubled in the last year. Its stock has also been cut nearly in half from its 52-week high. And just over 2 weeks ago, a research firm downgraded it to a clear sell, even while calling its valuation genuinely attractive. Rapid profit growth, a falling stock price, and a sell rating on cheap-looking numbers, that combination is exactly the kind of contradiction worth sitting with rather than skimming past. Let's take it apart properly, without the name attached yet. This company runs two distinct product lines under one roof, and it isn't accidental. It was carved out of a larger, older industrial group through a court-approved demerger roughly a decade ago, inheriting both lines from that original parent. The first, and larger, is coated metal, galvanized and prepainted steel and aluminium sheets and coils, sold under in-house brands into construction, roofing, white goods, automotive, and general engineering. It also does hot-dip galvanizing, producing corrugated and plain sheets used widely for roofing across smaller towns and rural markets, in India and in African export markets. The second, much smaller, is household products, mosquito repellent coils, liquid vaporizers, and incense, largely domestic, plus a specialty item, ultramarine blue powder, made on contract for a large FMCG fabric care brand. On the coated metal side, customers span construction contractors, white goods makers, and engineering buyers, with exports reaching over 20 countries across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. That export exposure matters. Results here are partly tied to global steel demand and currency movements, not purely the Indian construction cycle. And because steel and aluminium are priced globally, margins move with input cost cycles as much as with how well the company is run. The household products side sells through conventional FMCG-style retail, but it's competing against large, well-known FMCG names with far bigger distribution networks. This looks more like a steady, smaller contributor than a segment built for aggressive growth. Now to the numbers. Profit has grown from roughly 9.4 crore to 40.4 crore on a trailing basis, more than doubling, which looks dramatic on paper. But revenue growth has been far more modest, 5-year sales growth pegged at roughly 14 to 15% annually, a reasonable but unremarkable pace for an industrial manufacturer. That gap, moderate revenue growth against much sharper profit growth, usually means margins have expanded. Here's the catch, though. The most recent quarter actually showed profit after tax falling nearly 47% compared to the trailing 4-quarter average, alongside a slowdown in receivables collection. In other words, most of the recent profit growth appears concentrated in earlier quarters of the trailing year, not the most recent one. A strong full-year number can hide a cooling quarter sitting right underneath it. The return profile tells a similar, nuanced story. The latest reported return on capital employed sits close to 20% and return on equity around 14%, both improvements over a 3-year average ROE that had been closer to 11%. On the surface, that's a business getting more capital efficient over time. But at least one independent research note published earlier this month described ROEs more conservatively, closer to 16.5%, and used that same figure to justify caution rather than confidence, specifically because it came alongside a slowing quarter and weakening receivables collection. When a stock is this volatile, treat any single, current, number as a snapshot, not gospel. Debt here is genuinely mixed, and different sources are capturing it at different points in time. At one point, reported debt rose from roughly 134 crore to 181 crore within about 6 months. More recent data suggests net debt has since come down to roughly 73 crore. Meanwhile, at least one balance sheet snapshot flags a debt-to-equity ratio above 125% and an interest coverage ratio under 2 times, a genuinely tight cushion, if that reflects the current picture accurately. The honest takeaway: this isn't a company where you can safely assume debt is fine or debt is a problem without checking the most recent balance sheet yourself. A few risks worth naming plainly. 2 unrelated businesses under one roof, coated metal and mosquito coils share no customers or growth drivers, so you're effectively underwriting to separate stories at once. Commodity input exposure, since steel and aluminium costs can swing margins meaningfully. A cooling latest quarter, with profit down sharply and receivables slowing. Conflicting debt signals across sources. And thin, shrinking institutional ownership. Under 1% and falling further, which can also mean lower liquidity and sharper price swings. It's also worth remembering that recent sell ratings specifically cited quality and momentum concerns, despite the headline valuation looking attractive. A quick reminder, this video is for educational purposes only, not investment advice. Please consult a SEBI-registered advisor before making any investment decisions. At the current price, the company trades at a market capitalization of roughly 1,345 crore, a trailing PE of about 33, and close to 4 times book value. That PE is notably higher than the company's own longer-term average, and higher than the trailing profit surge alone might justify if it doesn't hold up in coming quarters. The stock has already fallen nearly 45% from its 52-week high, which tells you the market has started re-rating this story downward, even as the trailing profit number still looks strong on paper. So where does this leave us? A smaller industrial manufacturer running to unrelated product lines, with genuinely strong trailing profit growth sitting uncomfortably beside a weak recent quarter, mixed debt signals, and shrinking institutional interest. The valuation looks reasonable only if the trailing profit trend continues, and expensive if the most recent, cooler quarter turns out to be the more representative one. So, which company is it? Every number, chart, and risk in this video comes straight from a full second source report, including the company's identity, its ticker, and its complete financial history. The link is in the description below. If you found this breakdown useful, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.